All right, welcome to part two of episode 45 of 84 Feet with Cady and Kappa. I'm Brian Cady. Ready to roll here as this is Wednesday, February 19th. So, boys sectional seedings come out today. We don't care about boys sectionals. That's for other people to worry about. Worry about girls basketball here. Their seedings are in 2 days. But, we're taking a little attention away from what's going on during the season a little bit here. I decided to make this maybe a little rip off of the show Philly Matters. I don't know. We'll roll with that. If you grew up if you're someone who grew up in the '90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about as far as that show. Um, but yeah, I got a pair of siblings to join me this morning as we record this. It's a returning guest and a new guest. Uh, and There are two wonderful human beings that I've gotten the privilege of knowing over the last few years, and that would be Averill Park head coach Sean Organ and his wonderful sister, former Albany Academy assistant coach Colleen. Hello, Sean. Hello, Colleen. How are you today?
Good. How we doing?
Good. Thank you for having
Yeah, of course. Uh, this is something that I think I went over with Sean when I originally had him on. So, Colleen, I guess it's time for me to get your perspective on this. Uh, Growing up in the Organ household, what was that like? Growing up as a kid and and dealing with your brother over here.
Well, I am a lot of the person I am today because of him. He 4 years, 4.5 years older than me, kind of laid the groundwork as to what the expectation was as far as sports, uh, character in our family, kind of leading the way. And um, I never got the, oh, you're Sean's sister. I got, oh, you're Sean's sister. And oh my goodness, so happy to have you in our class. And but he definitely set the expectation that I had to reach, the level I had to reach athletically for sure. So I did have the benefit of playing with some of him and his teammates during summer league and stuff. So that certainly helped me get better basketball wise. But yeah, soccer, basketball, baseball, whatever it was, I was always trying to catch up with him.
And this was eventually what Greenville High School, if I remember correctly,
Mhm.
for both of you. Uh, Sean, talk a little bit about uh, growing up with Colleen. Like, what was what was the dynamic between the two of you like, and was there ever a point where Bob had to step in and kind of like everyone go to their opposite corners, or was it a pretty cordial household?
No, I think anybody who has siblings know that there's always a little bit of that involved from time to time. Growing up in Greenville, the community is a special community. It's small, close knit. Um, you are encouraged if you're athletic to play two or three sports, and you go from soccer to basketball to baseball. So both our parents were, athletic. They both were from the New York City area, Brooklyn and the Bronx before they, moved up to, upstate New York, and they had that athletic background, especially in basketball, but in other things too. And that translated to both, my sister and I. And, when you live in a smaller community like Greenville, there's a lot more opportunity to get involved. And, I think that leading the way at first. You When you're a younger sibling, you're going to practices. You're always following where your older sibling is going, and that definitely rubbed off on her. And it was fun. It was special. There was moments where it was challenging. I think anybody would admit that. Long car rides, practices, early, late. Um, my mom ran a small, business. She owned her own florist. So that was a factor in our upbringing too. And, that kind of brought us up to the greater Gilderland area where, my sister referenced, meeting some of our friends, you know, getting to know some of the people that I met up in the Gilderland area and getting involved in playing basketball or just really anything with a ball, was the way that we came up in the late 80s and the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've documented in the past Sean's I'll call them escapades on Western Ave at the College of St. Rose. What did you end up deciding to do with your college and academically? And did you end up playing any sports when you were in college at all?
Yeah, I went to the College of St. Rose. I played basketball there for Karen Haig for 3 years. Sean and I had some crossover teammates, I would say, because the boys team and the girls team traveled together, practiced same times. So I was lucky enough to know many of his teammates that were still there when I stepped in my sophomore year to St. Rose. So that made the transition to playing college ball a lot easier. Also, having been around, seeing all of the St. Rose boys games and girls games for the previous 3 years before I went there, knowing some of the staff, the men's coaches, etc., just made it an easy transition. I felt at home. By far the best experience I had was being with my teammates, traveling, going to Miami, going to Niagara Falls, just so many fun memories. Traveling with the men's team, getting to know them. Those are bonds that don't go away. Still keep in touch with a lot of my teammates. They've spread out throughout the country and they're doing great things. But I went on to also become a social studies teacher and began my teaching career as soon as I graduated St. Rose. And here we are almost 20 years later, still teaching social studies.
I got to follow up on one thing there quick. Because I feel like unless you were coached by this person at St. Rose or went to games and got to know the program well enough and understand it, I feel like Karen Haig is a very underappreciated name in the local college basketball scheme of things. Talk about Coach Haig, because I got to witness her work the last few years of her career. And it's just, I just feel like her work, not even just as a coach, but just as being part of that athletic department and what she was able to do for so long. I mean, I just feel like she gets really underappreciated for all the work she did on and off the court at St. Rose.
Yeah, no, she's an amazing woman. She's been through quite a bit in her life. She really instilled not just basketball and appreciation of the sport, but just life in general. I was part of the first year that she was there. So I think the bond that myself, the coaching staff, and my teammates have is unique to any of the other teams that she coached throughout the years. We still keep in touch quite a bit. She checks in. And I know that she does that with many of her former athletes. Even when it was her first year at St. Rose, she was still keeping in touch with her athletes from Pennsylvania. But no, she did a lot for the women's sports at St. Rose. She really brought attention to the girls program in general, but other sports there as well. The girls soccer team, she was a huge advocate for getting whatever they needed, getting them media coverage. She works really, really hard, and I learned a lot from her, not even just from on the court. She's just a wonderful woman.
And Sean, I know that when we had talked originally a while back, we didn't really get to dive too much into people outside of the men's basketball program at St. Rose. What kind of interactions did you have with Coach Haig back in the day, and what your impressions of her pretty similar to what Colleen was just talking about?
Well, Coach Haig wasn't there at my time at St. Rose. I graduated in 2000, and during that time, the coach was Kurt Malley,
Okay.
the women's coach. But with that said, my interaction with Coach Haig was also very positive. She recruited a couple of our players that we had, from that early 2010 run. So, or even before that, for example, like Jenna Hughes, Jenna Brooks now, who was on that very first team that I coached, 2005, 2006. Later on, Brooke O'Shea, so she's a great role model, for young women in our area, especially. And I know that she coached hard, and, she had high expectations, and, that's the way it should be. And she did a good job.
This is something that I asked Sean originally when he was first on here, and so I'll ask Colleen this. The school closing for St. Rose. Obviously, that was something that I think caught a lot of people off guard around the capital region, because whatever issues were happening were very much hush hush, for the lack of a better phrase. So when you heard about the decision that St. Rose was going to close, and now they've been closed for, let's see, May, so it's been 9 months now. What was the initial reaction you had? And now looking back, how do you still feel the same way about it now?
No, I mean, I was sad about it, given that there's a lot of memories there, not just the 4 years I spent there, and the 4 years that Sean spent there, but summer camps, basketball camps. I think that St. Rose, whether you went there or not, was a staple in the community, and did a lot for downtown Albany for a long time, outside of the campus itself. So the bonds that people have when they go to school together or live in that area circled around St. Rose. I don't think that anybody can really put in words what it feels like to have something close, that you were part of. It's sad. Driving through there, I show my kids, I'm like, oh, this is the school I went to. My daughter always says, well, I'm going to go there too, to be like you. And it's like a pang in the chest. No, you can't actually go there anymore. So, we've walked around the campus, and I've showed my kids and where I played basketball and all the things. And so it's pretty sad to not be able to have them experience, or it still be there.
Well, from the sounds of it, at least it sounds like they're going to repurpose the buildings. So that's on the good side of things. Question for both of you, but I'll start with Sean with this. Both of you, have kids at this point now, and Colleen just kind of touched on it a little bit there, but I'll start with you, Sean, on this. How important has the role of family become to you? Not just from when you were a kid, but now having kids, being able to, pass on your knowledge, whether it be in sports or just life in general. How important is family to you in your development?
It's so important, and being a father is the greatest gift that I think anybody could ask for. Having a great father and a great mother, is also a blessing, and I think that's really where it started for the both of us. Both parents were really, really encouraging. Our mother had, expectations, and she spoke truth. If you played well, if you worked well, she let you know it. If you didn't play well, if you weren't working, she let you know it. Our father was very supportive, and, in his way, and just always finding time, despite how busy both of them were. Again, my father worked, for 40 years at Hanny Reels, a factory in Westerlo, and my mother, was working long hours at the florist, for many years, but they still found time. And that's what was passed down to me. Being a father, to Shane and Kira is probably the greatest thing that I could ever have asked for. And so I try to, do everything that I can to support them in every way that I can. A little bit of tough love sometimes when it's necessary, supportive and encouraging all the time, always making sure that they have the things that they need to go out and do what they want. My son has recently decided that basketball just wasn't for him, and baseball is his thing. And, so he's all in on baseball, and, there's a lot of practices late at night. There's long weekends to faraway places. And that's kind of the way it is for my daughter, who, has pretty much decided to go all in on AAU. And she's fortunate where she plays for, Julie McBride in the Capitals. And, so often, we're juggling schedules, my wife, Jessica, and I. But we know that this time is short. It doesn't last forever. And so we try to make the most of, every weekend and every practice, and, short trips, long trips, it doesn't matter. We know that this is a blessing, and we want to make sure that we get the most out of it.
And Colleen, you mentioned briefly the showing showing where how remnants of how where you grew up and where you played ball, and just kind of elaborate a little bit more about the
Yeah,
importance of family for you, and being able to raise your kids as well.
absolutely. I mean, Sean, 100% correct. Our parents played different roles in our lives. My mom, she held us to an expectation that um, neither of us wanted to disappoint her nor or my dad. But it wasn't even about getting in trouble, so to speak, but it was letting them down. But she would let us know, that wasn't good enough. I'd come home with like an 88 on a test. Oh, you probably should have gotten a higher grade. What did you do? Not, what can you do better the next time? I'll never forget, I had a college coach come in to recruit me, and I think I had one of the best games of my life. 27 points, and I think I went 10 for 13 from the foul line, and I was so excited about that. And I came off after the locker room team speaking with the coach, and I was so excited. My mom's like, "You missed 3 foul shots. You could have 30." And I'll never forget that. It wasn't that, she didn't appreciate the hard work we put in, but, foul shots are the free points, and that's where you got to get them. And, you could lose a game at the line. And I just remember that conversation, and that kind of sunk in, like, hard work. You got to continue to work, never just settle for what you have. My dad, he's still to this day, and I think Sean would agree to this, he's the person that we each call almost immediately after a game and say, well, what do you think? And he kind of comes at it from a different angle, and gives us kind of the, well, this was good, but oof, this could have been better. But me personally, I'm a single mom. I have 2 amazing kids, and as far as family's concerned, my parents have been a huge part of my kids' lives over the last 2 years. But also Sean and his wife Jess and his kids have been um, just an enormous help for myself and my kids. They look up. I will say, my daughter Evie wants no part of my constructive criticism, and I'll say, well, then call Uncle Sean, and Sean is, she'll listen to Uncle Sean. Luke, he looks up to Sean quite a bit. My son, um, he always is asking him to play baseball with him or throw the football, and my nephew Shane and spends a lot of time with him doing those things too, and we're on vacation. So above everything, family has become, it's always been important, but it has become the biggest bond and group of people that I rely on, because it's been a struggle, and I wouldn't be the person I am without my parents and my brother and my sister-in-law.
Now, one thing I went over with you in private yesterday before we came on here today, Colleen, was because things have happened over the last month or so with um, Albany Academy, and actually more than that, actually goes back to last spring, really, um, with the way things were going as far as consolidating things due to the or the rebranding of the schools into one uniform uh, branding, and just tree of whatever you want to call it. Um, and you were teaching over at Academy, also an assistant coach under Brian Capitula. I want to focus on uh, the basketball part real quick first. Um, how did you end up getting into Academy originally, and what was it like with your time being with Coach Cap and the different coaches that were there during your time?
Yeah, so Coach Capitula and I had known each other for going almost a decade at this point from coaching together back at Mahonison. Um, and he took the head job at Academy, 4 or 5 years ago. Asked me to come on board as his assistant as we worked together at Mahonison. And I took the opportunity to do it with him, and we together built and got kids to buy in. Prior to taking over at Academy, they had won, I want to say, 2 games in the last 5 years. And so it took some time. Uh, Coach Cap put in time with the girls that were coming on board, and it was a change of mentality for the entire school. We were looked at as, well, that's a win on the schedule. When you get your game schedule, Academy's 2 wins right there. And the culture shifted. And now teams are looking at Academy going, oh, we better bring our A game. And I am happy to have been part of that staff and that group of girls who grinded out and really laid the foundation for what Academy basketball is and can be. I worked with amazing coaches over there. The head coach currently, Jerry Bien, Jackie Ascom. Um, and I learned a lot from those coaches as well. I think that anytime you're working with coaches, new coaches, there's always something to learn. And I appreciated my time, and I wish those girls success the rest of this season. And next year they have a heck of a team, and I'm cheering for them from the sidelines.
And eventually, obviously, you were you moved on. You were teaching at Academy as well. Now you're teaching over in the Watervliet School District. Teaching was it grade 7 through 12, correct?
8th grade social studies and 12th grade psychology.
Okay. Oh, where did the psychology come from?
Part of the social science. I love it. It's great. It's a fun class.
Oh no, what attracted you? And this actually kind of goes back a little bit to your time at St. Rose as well. What attracted you to wanting to be a teacher?
I think Sean and I have the same reason why. Well, I won't speak for him. We had amazing social studies teachers in Greenville. Right from our 7th grade teacher, Mr. Thorman. He reenacted the entire Civil War, jumping off desks, doing all sorts of things. And I thought, well, this is fantastic. Right up through our 11th grade. I really think it was my 11th grade APUS teacher, Mr. France. He just had a way of teaching to make you feel important, like no matter what your answer was, right or wrong, he just made you feel really important and comfortable. He was a coach as well. He was baseball coach at the time, and we're big Yankees fans in our family, and he would always talk stats with myself. And he just, I don't know, just the way he taught, the person he passed away recently, really, really drove home what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like him and reach out to kids and have them feel happy and comfortable in the classroom, and also be a coach. And like Sean said, small community, he knew our parents, he knew, my brother, he knew everybody, and made a point of showing up for his students.
Well, as much as I love the fact having met you guys in basketball, I now appreciate more than ever the fact that you just said that uh, uh, the captain, the patriarch Bob, passed on being a Yankees fan to both of you. Very good, because
Yeah.
we don't tolerate Red Sox fans in this podcast, so we make sure that we keep that going. Um, Sean, just wanted to tap with you because just to um, go back to family for a second here. You talked about Kira. I had the privilege of getting to see her play for the first time last Friday at Colony on the JV squad. Uh, Still can't believe she's 7th grade and starting JV. That was wild to me. But first time I got to announce for an Oregon kid out there on the floor. Um, what has the experience been for you so far, getting to see what Kira has done in her growth, and what that relationship is like for you guys? Um, being able to share that she's now coming up in the program that you're ultimately the head of as the varsity head coach. What's that whole process been like for you guys?
It's been wonderful so far. We've been very fortunate. She's been very fortunate that she's had some tremendous youth coaches along the way. Obviously we live in the North Colony School District, and, she grew up with, playing 3rd grade, 4th grade, all the way up through by a coach named Erin Ryan, who's just a incredible woman and role model. And she essentially runs the entire Capital District program for North Colony. And, she was great working with Kira. And, Kira kind of reached a point where, she wanted to come play for Dad. And, so when she made that decision, we sat down and we had a talk, and, made sure that she understood that, she's going to be one of many players in the program. And, everything that she gets, she's going to have to earn. She's going to have to work hard. And, she's all in on basketball. She does play volleyball in the fall, and, she does play lacrosse. But, she's always asking to go shoot. She's always asking to work on her ball handle. Can we go work with Jackie, Coach Jackie down in Colony? Can we, see if the Capitals is open and Coach McBride. So she's hungry right now. When she's a player, she's, one of however many players that we have in our program. And, we coach her just like we coach every other kid in our program. When we're in the gym during a game, she understands I'm not Dad, I'm coach. And, we don't talk about things that we wouldn't talk about in a gym. When we get in the car, we go home, that's when I become Dad. And I offer her a very different perspective, from a parental, point of view. So she's handled it really well so far. She absolutely loves Averill Park. She loves the middle school. She's got some incredible teachers over there that she's connected with. She's developed some great connections with many, the girls who are on her basketball team, volleyball team, and just in the school in general. So, again, Averill Park offers that, smaller community feel. The people up there have been wonderful in my time as a teacher and a coach. And, I couldn't be happier that, my kids get to experience that community. It really is a wonderful place.
All right. I hate to break this up, but I organized a little bit of a surprise here. As both of you can probably see in the backstage area of this podcast, if I've learned anything about Coach Sean over the last few years, is that he treats his program like family. And I figured we're doing a family podcast. I can't think of a better way to surprise Coach right now than to bring in his class of 2025. We got his 5 seniors. We've got Kaylee Ahern, Lizzie Hansen, Ariana Berardi, Sierra Pogue, Lily Wolleber. Ladies, I appreciate you taking the time to. I don't even want to know how you guys organized getting together in one place, but I'm very happy you were able to work that out. So welcome aboard. How are you ladies doing this morning?
Good to go.
Good.
Pretty good.
First off, whose place are we at here?
Kaylee's.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
First thing I want to say real quick, I knew there was something going on at the Colony game because at one point, I can't remember if it was you, Sean, or Scott, you were checking on Eric Wolleber for a specific number. I was like, what the hell is going on? And then come to find out yesterday, I mean, darn it, and you kept it a surprise from her too. Ari, you you got 1,000 points yesterday. Congratulations.
Yeah, sorry.
I heard it was a surprise to you too, like to the point where Mr. Wolleber, bless his soul, he wouldn't even tell me what the countdown was for. So good on him for keeping a secret. How did you even have any idea you were that close, or was it really that much of a surprise for you yesterday?
Well, I didn't think at all it was gonna be yesterday. I mean, Organ and Keegan told me like probably a month ago that I was close, but I didn't know if they meant like 100 close, 200 close.
So yeah, I mean, and you guys had a win against Shenendehowa yesterday, which I'm sure was very important in the minds of everyone involved here. But the main reason I wanted to bring you guys on, who's being the chuckle fest right now? It's
so bad I can't stop.
The main reason I wanted to bring you girls on was because obviously we have Coach Organ here, so I just wanted to bring you girls on, and whoever wants to jump in, go for it. Just talk about what Coach Organ has meant to this class of 2025, and yeah. So whoever wants to jump in, go for it. I don't know if it's gonna be Chuckles or Kaylee or whoever or whatever. Just go ahead and say your piece.
Well, Coach Organ to us, obviously, he's been coaching most of us since freshman year. And we've all known him for like our whole entire lives, pretty much, of basketball. So like both organs have been so important in like, I guess, our development in basketball and coming up. And it's always been a dream of ours to play on varsity. So playing for him is just an amazing thing. And he's a great coach. So. Mm-hmm.
Coach, I know I caught you off guard a little bit here, but just give us your thoughts about this class of 2025 and what they've meant to you and to the program.
So when you have 4 out of the 5, made the varsity team as a 9th grader, then Sierra joined us a year later. And so when you have players, the 5 of them collectively that have come up through the program, and even before they played modified, many of them were coming to our basketball camp over the summer. So you start to get to know them, when they're in elementary school, and you start to form connections and bonds. And it's always bittersweet when you get to this point in their career. Now we're entering the postseason, at some point the season's going to end, and it's always tough to say goodbye to kids that you've spent that much time with. They've given so much to the program and they've sacrificed so much along the way. Every single day they come in and they work hard, and they allow us to coach them, and they're open and receptive, to finding ways, to get better. And, anybody who's played for me, if they're being honest, will tell you it's not always easy. We have high expectations. We're demanding, we challenge them, and they rise to the occasion. And, this has been a special group. Each of them bring something unique of their own and find a way to contribute to our program. And that's not something that could just easily be replaced, when the season ends and they graduate. So, and I think that I could say this, speak for Coach Keegan. We're trying to savor every last minute, every last practice, every last rep that we have with them, because of what they've given. And, 4 of them were on that state championship team in, 2022. And, that's a lot of practices and that's a lot of games over the course of 4 years. And we know that they're off, to bigger and better things, after graduation. Sierra's going to play lacrosse, and, we're really excited and supportive of that. And, she's going to be a star, and Ari's going to go off to, become a sprinter. And then we have Kaylee, Lily, and Lizzie, who are, going to be basketball players, at the schools they're going to. So that's all exciting. And, they're great students too. We see them in school. I'm fortunate to have most of them as a student. They're funny. You got a taste of that just a minute ago. They work really hard academically. Kaylee, has just been, she was selected as our team's, scholar athlete. I'm really excited that she represents our program when she goes to the scholar athlete brunch here in just a couple weeks. Who can ask for, a better group of kids to work with? And they've done a good job of setting an example for our especially the younger kids. We have three freshmen and a couple sophomores on our team this year, new to the team, and they've done a good job, and their leadership has become better and better as the season has grown longer. And I think that's the reason why I feel pretty confident as we head into the postseason right now.
And Colleen, you've been able to witness this yourself as well, with a little different perspective from as somebody sitting in the stands. What have you made of these girls as they've gone through their last few years and varsity, and the job they've done for Sean and the job Sean has done for them?
Every year, especially lately, the more seniors that are graduating that I've known from Sean's programs. I work with him at his basketball camp, and these kids come in at 4 or 5 years old. And then Tatiana and Taylor Holohan, who graduated last year, I believe were one of my first group of kids that came in young, 5, 6 years old. So now seeing this particular group of seniors going through, whom I've known many of them, almost all of you, I believe, from camp. It just, I don't know how Sean and Keegan do it year after year after year when they have these bonds from basketball camp, from school. Seeing Ari last night score her 1,000th, it was super exciting. Congratulations, Ari. It's just amazing to see them go from 5, 6-year-old girls who are trying to hit the rim to these kids who are now scoring 1,000 points or winning state titles. I couldn't be more proud of them from the outside perspective and the time that they put in for the entire program. But they have bought in to what Sean and Keegan have established for years at that in their program, and they are laying the foundation for the girls that are coming up behind them. And I know that Sean and Scott talk about that a lot with tradition and family and leadership. And they have made the program, the community proud. Last night, my son and my daughter, they go to basketball camp, and all of a sudden I'm talking to Sean on the sideline, and they're watching the girls shoot during halftime of the JV game. And my son goes, "Oh, those are the coaches from camp." I'm like, "Yeah, Luke, they are." And then after the game, my son Luke had Ari this summer as a coach, and he was like, I want to say congratulations to coach. I want to say congratulations to coach. So, not only are they role models for kids within their district and their schools, there's a lot of kids that are seeing them on the outside. And, great job, ladies. You guys have made not just Averill Park and coach and Keegan proud. You have made all of Section 2 proud. So continue to do your best, and thank you for everything that you've given me and my family.
I know there's 5 of you, but I'm going to single one of you out for a quick second here. Ari, Kaylee, you two have been, obviously the ones that everybody has honed in on, whether it be from a scouting perspective for coaches of other teams or the media, having covered the team over the years. Lizzie, relentless with what you do on the floor, your boundless energy. Sierra, you're a tremendous asset to the team as well. But being able to sit at a scores table for a few years, sitting next to this one particular father, it's I've been keeping a particular set of eyes on this one young lady, and I'm going to say this right now. I think one of the most underappreciated players in all of Class AA this year is Lily Wolleber. Because, the quote that a lot of people like to say is they don't want to be the person to replace the person. They want to be the person that follows the person that follows the person. Now, obviously, What I'm meaning is, Taylor Holohan got so much pub and was so amazing. Now she's at Northeastern, and you know, having to be in that shadow, so to speak. There's no way that could have been easy. Amazing tree to learn under, obviously, but to see the growth you've taken over the last couple of years, and then do what you've been doing this year as a senior. I mean, I'm sorry, but I just had to single you out real quick, Lily, because I feel like you have just taken such a leap forward in your senior year that you deserve your flowers. So there, you've got your flowers. Um, and I think you should be super proud of the work you've been putting in.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents about that. So
She's come. I'll add on to that. I think that I don't know how many people follow, her as close as you do, Brad. But one of the things that Lily has a responsibility of is matching up typically against, our opponent's best offensive player. And that's not an easy task. She's big and physical enough where she can do a good job on the interior. She's got great footwork. She's quick enough, especially laterally, where she can match up with, many guards, on the perimeter. And she really has accepted and embraced that role over the last couple of seasons. Recently we've seen the development of her offensive game and confidence really start to grow too. And, now you start to combine that with, Kaylee and Ari, and Lizzie knocking down a few shots like she did last night. It's nice to have a little bit of confidence headed into the postseason. And I think anybody who looks at the double A's, realizes that Catholic high school and Columbia are really, really good, and they have many talented players. So if we're going to make any kind of run at Averill Park, we understand that, we got to be at our best as we head into the postseason, and if we want a good outcome.
Well, ladies, I think this was a very well executed surprise. So I definitely appreciate you putting this together with me. So thank you for jumping on board. I know one of you has to run and pick up somebody very soon. So I'll let y'all go, and I'll finish up with coach and coach. So ladies, thank you again for jumping on, and I'll see you in a couple weeks in Troy.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Bye.
All right, that was the senior class for Averill Park. Yeah, Kaylee Ahern, Lizzie Hansen, Ari Verardi, Sarah Pogue, Lily Wolaber. You okay, Coach? You're gonna be all right there, Sean? You're gonna?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. They're just. I love that. People got a small glimpse into the characters that they are. They're such wonderful kids. They have a great sense of humor, and they're just. We're lucky that we get to do what we do.
Colleen, I wanted to transition into something that's been a very a difficult part of your recent months, and something that I know you and I have personally discussed a fair amount about, and that was your cancer diagnosis that you got not too long ago. Just walk through with us that whole process of how you found out, what the diagnosis was, and how things have been going with the treatment thus far for you.
Okay. So last October 2024, I found I had a mammogram, nothing, everything was clear. About 3 weeks later, I detected randomly a lump, and I didn't think much of it because I had just been cleared from my mammogram. And so, we were just starting basketball. It must have been October 2023 then, right? Because last year, we were just starting basketball season, getting real 6-7 practices a week, games. And so I kind of just put it off because we had a special group last year at Academy, and, we had a grind ahead of us, and I didn't think much of it. In and around January, I noticed that the lump was getting a little bit bigger and a little more sensitive and uncomfortable, but we had basketball. So we made it to the state final. And at that point, I realized in March I should probably get it checked out because it wasn't going away. A week later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2. And I had a choice to either do a lumpectomy, or both doctors, my oncologist and my surgeon, recommended a double mastectomy. And so I had to do some testing. I had to do all sorts of different things. And within 6 weeks, they had me in for a double mastectomy and reconstruction in mid-May. I spent the summer recovering from that, injections, medicines, all those crummy things that come along with cancer. But I'm happy to say that I am in remission, feeling great. I am having to do some extra injections currently, only because some of my levels are elevated, and just getting ahead of it, and just really being grateful for everything that I have, and all the support that I have. And that is why I stepped away from coaching this season. I couldn't commit to being a part of a staff without giving my 100% in time, and feeling 100%. I miss it terribly. I want to be on the sidelines as much as I possibly can. That's where I feel my best. So I'm hoping that, over the next couple of months, I'll feel 100% and be back on the sidelines where I want to be next fall, next winter. But yeah, no, it was a scary time, and I obviously had the support. This is all about family, and my parents and my brother and my sister-in-law, and everybody was there for me. We rallied up and did the things, and feeling much better today.
And on the other side of that, to basically a trial run coming up for you.
Yeah.
As we talked a little bit about this yesterday as well. You're going to be coaching 6th grade girls for Elevate, the program run by Coach Cap. So it's definitely gonna feel good for you, knowing that this has all been going on, and now you get to get back on the sidelines and test out the old sideline sea legs a little bit there, and be able to coach some AAU over the spring.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. 6th grade. I think that's a good little stepping stone for me to get back into things. My daughter is going to be playing 5th grade. So, it works out really nicely that our practices are at the same time. We'll be attending the same tournaments. I wouldn't have done it without being able to see her and be a part of what, she's doing at this point too. And I'm just really looking forward to getting back into the grind of coaching.
Sean, just wanted to get your perspective on this, as well as as the brother. Obviously, getting news like that about anybody in your life can't be easy, but especially your sister going through what she's went through over the last almost full year at this point. Well, actually, a little over a year if you include the previous the previous testing and everything. It can't be easy for a family to accept that diagnosis, but you have to be obviously extremely happy that things are definitely in a much better direction for Colleen here now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're relieved at where she is right now, but when she gave us the news, it was concerning, to say the least. It was, we had a lot of questions. It really, to us, kind of came on out of nowhere. And it was not an easy time, and it's a good thing that she's the youngest, because that the youngest sibling always seems to be the toughest sibling. And she was all of that and then some, through the process. And, it was inspiring to see, how she, made it through, those times. There were a lot of things going on for her that, were a challenge. But, she persevered, and she's doing really well right now. And, we know we just kind of take things, one step at a time, and, you clear one hurdle and then you're looking forward to the next hurdle after that. Um, but yeah, I mean, when that news first came through, it was, a very low sinking feeling that nobody ever wants to hear, nobody ever wants to get. And, so you kind of, you want answers, you want to know how you can be supportive. It was fortunately really, a better scenario, a best case scenario that we help, we're rooting for at the time. But she missed basketball, and we've had some conversations, and, through it all, her concern, and, is, how were the players that, she had been coaching and working with, how they were doing, and, also being a strong mother, and, and grinding through that situation. So, I think that anybody who's been through that situation can tell you just how much it requires emotionally, to get through. And, I think especially my parents, for doing everything they can to help her out, during that tough time. And, fortunately we're on the other side of it now, we hope. And, we continue to, march in a good direction here.
One thing we had talked about before, Sean, and it just popped in my mind. Firefighting, like what's, because I if I remember correctly, I could be totally wrong on this. I want to say you were close to walking away from it, or you had just walked away from it. Am I correct in that assessment?
Correct. Yep. I had joined a volunteer fire department in southern Saratoga County back in 2004. And in 2008, we moved down to the Bout community, Bout Corners area. And I put my application in and was able to be, accepted. And, I was lucky that I was able to get through a lot of my training before I was married, before we had children. And I was very active for a long period of time. Unfortunately, just being a dad of two crazy active, children made it really difficult, to meet my minimum requirements, especially for training. But that is an experience unlike a lot of other experiences that I've had. I think anybody who is a first responder understands, what I'm referring to there.
Colleen, when did you first hear of Sean wanting to be a firefighter of any sort? And did you have any kind of reaction like, "Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Like, what are you doing?" What was that? What was that like for you as a younger sister, hearing that about your brother?
Proud. I was super proud of him. Our grandfather, he was a volunteer fireman as well in our hometown. And, it didn't surprise me at all. Sean's always just kind of wanted to be there and help people and do things. That's why he's a teacher and a coach and, an amazing dad and husband. So, nope, didn't surprise me. Some of the stories he's shared with me, I've been like, oof. Nope, I'm super proud of him. And he's amazing that he dedicates time beyond his family and coaching and teaching. Where he finds the time, I have no idea. I feel like he's been granted, 28 hours a day, and the rest of us are dealing with 24 hours a day. So I'm not quite sure how he manages everything, but he does well with whatever he does, obviously.
And Sean, I'd be remiss if I didn't revisit things with you about your current squad right now in general. We talked about this back on Friday. I mean, even like stuff I didn't even know about, just the various injuries your squad has dealt with throughout the year. Most recently, and most notably, Kaylee Ahern missing a bit of time with an issue herself. She just came back and played some limited minutes yesterday in the Shenendehowa victory. Um, all in all, when you compare this to like the last few years, how obviously you're proud of all your teams and what they do both on and off the court. Is there a different level of it to what this squad has been able to, you know, with the persistence and being able to overcome all the different bumps in the road that you have experienced through the year, especially in a conference like the Suburban Council where, you know, obviously a lot of talk is like Shaker and Colony, but the amount of talent and the crazy level of competition is just insane, particularly this year, where there's just like a lot of quality teams in that conference this year that are scratching and clawing, and it seems like every game in the council is a rock fight, more or less.
Yeah.
What's I mean, I just feel like this year it's a little different than past years as far as what this team has been able to overcome and go through.
Yeah, I would say that, you go back to the state championship team 2022, where we were, very blessed, for lack of a better word, with incredible talent. Amelia Wood, Michelina Lombardi were seniors that year. We had players who were underclassmen that played such vital roles for us. Taylor Holohan, Todd Toon, Bailey Lang, and there was always with this current group that we have and the most veteran players, the seniors who were just on, for example, very fortunate to be on teams that had such tremendous leadership and the ability to go out and just execute and perform. And, when Amelia and Michelina graduated, it really, Tattoon and Taylor Holohan kind of emerged as our leaders their junior and senior year. And, there was 2 more years where they got to play side by side, next to those girls and under their leadership. I think the challenge that we had early on this year is now you're, a senior, now you are a leader. Now your role has expanded. It's changed. It's evolved. And, you have to handle this. You have to adapt. You have to embrace. And you combine that with what you just said about the challenges of playing in a suburban council. On any given night in a suburban council, anybody can win a game, and we see that with the utmost respect for, many of the small school leagues. Obviously both my sister and I are from Greenville. And at the time it was the Schoharie County League. And, there's great basketball in small school conferences. The amount of talent, and you add the high level coaching, in the suburban council, just night in and night out, it is a grind and you need to be prepared. And, we were dealt some adversity this year. We had some key injuries, Kaylee Ahern being one of them. And, we're fortunate now that, she's starting to get back with us, and, the timing is perfect. And, we hope that we can build, off of our game yesterday afternoon. And we got about a week, we think, before we play our first sectional game, and we have a lot of work to do. I mean, again, the double A's are stacked, and it's going to be a difficult journey, but it's one that we hope that we can pull out in the end.
One quick follow-up I wanted to do about your squad. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Lily Wolber earlier, and we have forever given flowers to Kaylee Ahern and Ari Verardi, but I want to focus in on the other 2 seniors quick. Lizzie Hansen and Sierra Pogue. Like I mentioned, Lizzie, it's almost like an Energizer bunny. She's just up, down, up, down, up, down, diving at every loose ball. Like she's relentless. And Sierra Pogue always, going in there and giving her best as a key piece off the, off the bench later in games. Talk about those 2 in particular, and the growth you've seen for them and what they've meant to the program and to you and the girls.
Yeah, I mean, all 5 seniors are just terrific, wonderful student athletes. They represent our program so well. I'll start out with Sierra Pogue. Sierra Pogue is your definition of a multi-sport athlete. She plays multiple sports. She accelerates in lacrosse. She's a role player for us. She understands, what's expected of her. And, she's a player that's not going to get a lot of headlines or newspaper articles or have stats that are really gaudy. But Sierra shows up every single day to practice, and she is challenging the other players around her, and she leads by example. She works hard. She's gotten better over the course of her time on the varsity team, and she's really supportive. If you watch our games, she's one of the first girls to stand up, cheer, clap, do anything she can, to bring the energy. And we're going to miss her, next year, for sure. And then you mentioned Lizzie Hansen. Lizzie has really expanded her game in the offseason. She put a ton of work into working, with some skill development coaches in the offseason, and she changed her shot. It's improved significantly. It's a conversation that we shared at the end of last postseason where, we told her, if we were game planning against our team, what we would do and what we needed her to go out and improve. And she took that to heart. She put a ton of time in over the summertime and into the fall. Her jump shot looks much better now than it ever has. She shot the ball pretty well yesterday up at Shen. She's had some great moments for us this season, but she is an energy giver. If you watch the way that she defends, if you watch the way that, she gets on the floor for loose balls, if you watch the way that she boxes out, she just sacrifices her body and her well-being to go out there and give to her teammates. And, she really, gets us going in the way that she plays. So those are, two kids that are very much a part of the success that we've had, this year and over the last couple of years for sure.
Colleen, I'll let you have the floor to end this, and I'll bring it back full circle because it seems like the constant theme of this show has been family. The person I want to hone in on specifically, I gotta bring up Bob again, because if I've learned anything over the last few years, whether it's been for an Averill Park game or when you were with Albany Academy the last few years, whenever one of you walks into the gym at Hudson Valley, he's not too far behind, or he's right next to you, one or the other. Having that kind of support and somebody that I get the sense is willing to call out BS when they see it or hear it. What's it like to have that kind of support, and just from the family in general that you've had, and not even just on the court, but just in general, particularly the last 12 months with the things that have been going on off the court for you. And you mentioned being a single mother and all that jazz, like just you guys are really an amazing family from everything I ever witnessed. So just want to get you to kind of close things up with that.
Thank you for that. Sean and I would be remiss not to also mention my mom. She and my dad have been, I wouldn't have gotten through the last 12 months without them. My son's been sick over the last couple of weeks. I call my dad. He's here. He's 20 minutes away. He's here. He's sacrificing himself to get sick, to be here with my son because I have to go to work. When I was going through my most recent surgery around Thanksgiving, my dad was with me right by my side in the hospital from the morning until we were released that evening. I stayed with my parents. My parents, both my mom and my dad, did everything they could to make me comfortable and take care of things and the kids. And that was through Thanksgiving. So they did the best they could to have a good Thanksgiving at that point. I wouldn't be the person I am today without the support of both of them, for sure. They have been amazing role models, and how I want to hold myself to the highest regard, to make them proud, and for my kids to look up to me and to my parents, and want to recycle that to their own kids in the future as well. So even going back to high school basketball and college basketball, they were always at everything they could possibly be at. My dad, like Sean said, working 40, 50 hours a week. My mom owning a flower shop. They did everything they could possibly do to be at every game, every AAU game, every game that Sean, they would divide and conquer if they had to. Sean would have a game at NJIT and I would have a game in Schoharie. One of them would be at one of them and the other would be at the other. And they never let us down when it came to support of athletics. And even through now coaching, they are at every single game they can be at. And if they're not at the game, they're dying for what stream, how can they watch it on their computer, and what's the score. Yesterday at the Shen game, it wasn't streaming. My dad was texting me every 10 seconds for an update of the score. And at one point I just wanted to FaceTime him, just have it up there because he was nonstop. But I look at it, if I took myself out of the equation and look at my parents and how proud they are of Sean and Kira and Shane, it's an overwhelming feeling. And then I'm lucky to be a part of that family. And I'm grateful for everything that our family has done for me and for my kids and for Sean and Jess and his kids. And we certainly wouldn't be the people that we are today if it wasn't for both Bob and Sherry.
Yes, I've been very remiss about your mother. So, Mama Organ, sorry about that.
She'll let you know.
I'm sure I'll hear something not too far from now. Secondly, I'm glad to know that it wasn't just me with the Shen game yesterday, because I was getting frustrated. I was ready to throw my phone at one point in the Cobleskill gym. So now I feel better knowing it wasn't me and a technology issue. But anyways, yeah, I mean, this is like one of the great things I love about being around Section 2 basketball. And it's one of the things I mention anytime somebody asks me, why do you do so much? Like what's the point? What's the point of, all the announcing you do? And what's the point of this podcast? Things like this. For me, it's about ties to the community and ties to families. And I've been blessed and honored to have gotten to know the both of you and your respective families over the last few years. And I got absolutely nothing but love and respect for both of you and the whole family. So I definitely appreciate you both coming on. Sean for a repeat guest, and Colleen for being on for the first time. I definitely appreciate you guys taking time out during a school vacation to step away from your respective families for a little over an hour and sit down and talk about things. So thank you both. Definitely appreciate it. And yeah, nothing but love over here. And I'm sure I'll see you guys very soon over at Hudson Valley. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and I especially appreciate the way that you promote Section 2 girls basketball. There's a lot of great players and coaches and programs and schools, and I think that something like this is long overdue, and so we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you coming on. Colleen Organ, Sean Organ, Averill Park head coach Sean Organ, and Colleen, soon to be on a sideline TBD to be determined, but AAU can catch her on the 6th grade girls Elevate sidelines over the spring. That being said, that wraps up part 2 of episode 45, 84 Feet with Cady and Cap, at 84 Feet Podcast on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And just search for 84 Feet with Cady and Cap on Facebook. Spotify, like the channel, get the notification going so you know when episodes come up. New episodes, I should say. YouTube, same thing. Like the channel, like the videos, comment, subscribe, all that goodness. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Adios.